Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Kingdom Investment Mag, brought to you by All Saints Chapel Lweza. My name's Bwenje Bright Muramura, and today we shall be talking about the e-commerce business or the online business. We have a special guest that can talk about this in an expert way, and he's by the names of Micheal Niyitegeka. I hope I say that right, but he will have a chance to really introduce himself and talk about who he is, and so that we get to know who he is and who we're dealing with. So Micheal, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Bright. What an honor and pleasure for me to be here to talk about trade and business using the digital platforms. Micheal Niyitegeka, and yes, you are spot on with the name. It's a tongue twister for quite a number of people, and when people ask me what does it mean, and they assign a lot of meaning. Niyitegeka, you prepare yourself.
Yes,
it means God reigns. That's the meaning. God rules. So I'm excited about the topic because I think it creates. So by trade and profession, I lead a team at Refactory. Refactory is a software training academy, and our primary focus is training young people that are passionate about building solutions or acquiring the skills to develop IT solutions that facilitate trade or e-commerce. And we take on anybody. We take on anybody who has a passion and interest in that, but also do consulting in the area of digital business, digital strategy, as well as run a private business that largely focuses on digital scaling. So yes, everything seems to be rotating around digital.
I see we're really talking to the right person, and of course e-commerce is just a small component of digital space, I would assume. But today we shall be talking about e-commerce, and I know there are many of you out there who don't know what e-commerce is. Maybe Micheal will take us through what e-commerce is, or what it encompasses, or what it comprises of, so that we get the full spectrum of what it is. And as we go on, we shall also try to find out what kind of challenges are there, and most importantly, before the challenges, how can e-commerce be done in Uganda competently?
So in a lay person's presentation, e-commerce is electronic commerce. So any trade that is done over the internet would qualify to be e-commerce. Now, of course, there are all types of, the big boys in the game are the Amazons of this world. When you come home, you Jumia, Chikubo Online, and quite a number of others, those who are in hardware. So anything that you look at from a trade perspective that is facilitated or uses internet as a medium, largely would qualify to be e-commerce. Now, you can look at it from even the narrow perspective is our WhatsApp trade. You've seen how people will have a few things on WhatsApp status, and they're able to show what they are trading. And then mobile money comes into the picture. It's not a complete solution, but you can see technology enabling the trade to happen. So it would be very unfortunate for us to just look at it from the big boys only, but yet you have those people that are working on and using technology to do trade. You have harvested and you post on a WhatsApp group, and people are paying you. So there is, the medium is technology that qualifies it to be e-commerce. The difference is that if you look at a real structure which has an end-to-end, that I go in, place my order, do the payment online, everything else seems to be seamless. That now is top tier e-commerce, if I could put it that way, electronic commerce. But yeah, I think really that's what e-commerce is. It's trade that is facilitated by technology, and the electronic bit is really important.
Yes, thank you so much for that enlightenment. My understanding about e-commerce is that there are some who are doing it, but they don't know that it is actually e-commerce. There are some who are doing it out of circumstances that maybe during the lockdown they couldn't afford rent anymore and they had to go online. But for someone who is starting out in this e-commerce trade and this online business, what would be your advice to them on how to successfully operate an e-commerce business?
Yeah, so the first thing is, if you take it as a business, then it has to be a business. So take out the informality, because there's quite a lot of business that is happening online that is also quite informal. So you find somebody is selling a few things on the side and it's business, but in actual sense it's like the money comes in and it mixes with other things. So if you've taken that direction, then try and get it running in a proper way, because that's when you begin to see the value of the business. So the first thing would be structure. Get it registered, have proper records, and once you go electronic, it also means you're able to keep track of simple things like inventory. I've bought 10 pieces, how many pieces are remaining? Or you're able to look at your data from a very... It's easier to deal with the data than the guy who is very informal. I don't know if I'm making sense, because you see the order coming in. You can also predict that if it's back to school, then I'm going to have a significant demand. So you begin to pay attention to the trends. The second thing that I would really, and I think that's one of the challenges we have with people who are attempting to go into e-commerce or online trade, the attention to quality. It's really a huge area of concern. So people will pick images off the internet and they will share them on their WhatsApp status, and then once they have shared, when I see that status, my assumption is that when I place the order, I'll get what I have seen, because that's where trust comes in. And then something else is delivered, or it works for 2 days and it's done, and you tell the person, wait boss, what happened here? And they tell you, you see, yeah, you know these things. No, I don't know those things. What I saw is what I ordered for. What you're giving me is totally different. The third thing I would tell anybody who's going online, if you're going to succeed, you have to build your trust. And trust will come from the stuff that you promise to deliver and delivering it on time. If you don't have it, you're better off saying it is out of stock. And for me, trust is critical. The reason the Amazons of this world have managed to stay where they are and keep growing is very simple. When you place the order, there is close to a 99% chance that you'll get your product and what you ordered for. I don't want to go into specific cases in our country here, but if you go online on Twitter and all social media pages, you will see the number of people that are complaining about the product, the quality. And so for you who wants to go into this space, it's about trust. That's number one. Number two, quality. What you promise to deliver had better be what you deliver, because your reputation can easily be lost by just one product And one person will go online and they will make the noise and nobody will place an order with you. And the other critical thing is build a relationship with your customers, because there's value in what we call repeat business.
I want us to go a bit technical a bit. When you look at some of these companies, they're mostly foreign companies. Most of these giants, the Amazons, the Jumia is foreign to Uganda. So unless we are not in the know, is there any Ugandan company that is doing it the way it's supposed to be done? And if it's not there, what could be the challenge that is hindering the e-commerce space to develop the way it should?
Yeah, you're right that we don't have yet that many companies in Uganda that are into e-commerce. What we are seeing is a hybrid of, they are both physical and also have an e-commerce component. So look at companies like Chukuvo Online. It's largely Ugandan because it doesn't have any other presence in other parts of the world. I know there is a hardware company, I just forget the name, but it's purely run by a Ugandan lady. It focuses on construction material, and they are growing. Their supplies, their demand for services is growing. So we're beginning to see people play in that space. But you see, it takes time for people to get to a point where they trust. Like you've had the eyes of a Ugandan are in the hands. Yeah, so yeah. So because of that, people, and also because of the issue I talked about, the quality issue, I want to first touch it, feel it, because there's a likelihood that I will pay my money and what really comes is something totally different. So that's one of the challenges. Now, you can't blame us entirely because of our approach to shopping. It is until COVID that people realized they can actually depend on other people to deliver things for them, to deliver service for them. That kind of business also started growing. So it's a trend, it's growing. Our generation that has the eyes in the hands is going, well, it's not phasing out, but our children do the things way faster. Our son will place an order with gadget craze, and he will be tracking it, and they will be calling you and giving direction. And the next thing is going to pick what he has ordered. And like, okay, this is interesting. So gadget craze, how did you find out about them? Like I've looked at their reviews, I've seen what people are talking about them, and I think they have legit stuff. Their language, legit stuff is legit. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So you also try it as a parent. It actually they deliver, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, things work. So it's going to take time, and the convenience that comes with it then makes it even more attractive.
There's the saying that we have in Uganda about government etuyambe. So this brings me to my next question. Is there a role that government has to play to build these e-commerce infrastructures so that more developers are on board, so that confidence is built, so that more users are taking it up? Because clearly the benefits are there, but is there something that government can do in your own opinion?
So government, I would say, has done what technically should be done. So you have the enabling law, you have the e-transactions law, which really in essence encompasses all these aspects. They've put in place the data privacy law, implying that if I share with you my data, you have the responsibility to keep it, and you cannot share it with anybody else. And if you are, then you should have received consent from me. I'm pretty sure you heard of the Safe Border case some time back, where there was a data breach, and they had to pay some money because the case is that data moved from Safe Border to a third party, and that without the consent. So when you see that small thing, this website uses cookies, and you're actually telling that website, I give you permission to use whatever information that I'm sharing with you, because it's also for good. The truth is that, and here to give you confidence, is that all tools depend on users in terms of looking at how users use the website or the platform. And so websites as well collect this data. So if I log on to a website and I move from one point to another on that website, or I come and within a flash I move out, that data helps the developers to analyze and say, okay, why are people coming to our website and not staying for long? So if you're going to improve, then I must use your data. Yeah, so that's really the essence around when we say I accept all the cookies. You can also modify. There's that option. So the enabling laws are there. We're still struggling with core infrastructure like very stable internet connection. Many of us are running between one or two service providers. There are very few of us who are just on one service provider. But so core infrastructure like the fiber networks, that has come in. We're also beginning to see players come in around data hosting, data services. I think the famous one is Raxio down in Amambe that has set up a data center. So all the things are critical because it means that you can, at a country level, keep local data local. So local operations local, which is very good for us. You've seen of recent, URA has started collecting taxes from these media, YouTube, Google, Zoom. There was a joke on Twitter that URA collected money from Facebook, yet it is technically blocked in Uganda, and so isn't it illegal to collect money from a business that is closed? But let's not go there. But the essence is that the infrastructure, the core infrastructure, which is normal, the enabling environment, the laws, and that has been put in place. The other thing that is very critical for us to appreciate is that your financial institutions have really made it possible, and they have quite a number of solutions that help you to go into the whole e-commerce trade. So players like Bank of Uganda have really come in to play that part with licensing of the financial technology service providers, and because for a long time they were not really regulated. They were assumed to be tech. They were using the technology, but the business is financial. And so now you have a specific law that regulates the financial service providers. So that's why you have the national payment system, which regulates your fintech company. The reason why MTN had to separate the mobile money from MTN, it's because this business is totally different. So if anything happens, I deal with MTN, Momo, or Airtel Money, or there are quite a number of other financial technology service providers, and that is very critical. If as Micheal, I use you as a service provider, I have a fallback position. I can go to the regulator and they will hold you accountable. So I mean, it's a growing space. We can't run away from that reality. But because it is growing, there are a lot of things that we are learning on the job as we go along.
For the layperson in charge, for the layperson at work, for someone who is trying to get started, what would you say are some of the opportunities that they can tap into while as they embrace the e-commerce space?
So it really starts with what you have. I always tell people that you probably don't need to start with an investment in a huge website. Invest in having good quality images on your social media channels, depending again on the audience that you're speaking to. If it's the audience that is on Instagram, they will not read your text. They want videos. If it's the audience that is TikTok, then the videos have to be the kind of videos that they will willingly share. Because I was reading a report where they are saying the shared economy is going to be the biggest economy in the world by 2030. Now, when you talk about shared economy, you're looking at things like your YouTube, or things like Uber, Airbnb. All that's really around the shared economy. That I have a house, but there's an extra room. So that extra room is revenue. Can be converted into revenue. And for me to register on Airbnb, it's not rocket science, if I put it that way. Or for you to set up your business on Google, what we call Google Business, is also not rocket science. What you do is you go to Google and say, this is my business, this is my location, this is my address. So when somebody Googles you, you need not to have a website. They can find you. So somebody will tell you, Michael, those things you talk about them like so simply, but they are not simple. They're not simple, yes, because you need to understand what you're actually looking for. So I would encourage as many of us, if you have a business, you have a location, go to Google Services, Google Business Services, register your business, because it gives you visibility. So if I search your business, I can quickly find it. The next one is grow your social media, grow your platform, but be very sensitive to the audience that you're speaking to. If it's an audience that is our age group, they'll probably not many will be on TikTok, not many will be on Instagram. But if it's our children, that audience, you won't find them on Twitter. They think Twitter is extremely boring and it's for people who are snobs because they just talk to themselves. You won't find them on LinkedIn. So be aware of the audience that you're speaking to. Grow your network of WhatsApp and probably move them to these platforms. Platforms like Facebook also have Facebook Business, as well as even the Twitters of this world. So spend time trying to understand these platforms, because you can start there to grow your business before you build a standalone website that is fully fledged with payment solutions. And then finally, I would encourage us as parishioners or as citizens, please find some time and educate yourself about technology. And really here I'm talking about digital skills. Understand things around security. When you receive an email that seems to be funny, don't open it immediately, or click, or even share your data. Anything that asks you to share your credit card details or your bank details, first ask, who is this? But you need to expose yourself. I know many of us have been bitten by this fraud. I can't end without talking about digital fraud. It's big business, unfortunately, and they thrive on our ignorance. So spend time. If somebody sends you a random, the other night, I think it was this week or the other week, my wife received a notification of withdrawal at about 8 p.m. Somebody sent a notice to her phone. It was talking about authorize this payment. I'm like, She's like, who is this? I'm like, why are you even losing sleep? Just forget it. So, but yet there are people who will not process it that somebody is out to take your money. He's just trying out his luck. And out of 10, there will be 4 people that will just say, maybe I'm receiving money. And yet somebody is taking money from you. So educate yourselves. And most of these platforms really have a lot of content that we can use to educate ourselves. I would really think there's a huge opportunity for us in the digital space. Why? Because your world is your market.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I cannot say it any better than he has put it. So that brings us to the end of this talk about e-commerce and online business. Please, as you listen, try to implement some of these wisdoms that he has really shared and see how you can grow your business by using the online spaces. So it has been your host, Bright Mamra. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time.